Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As my colleague Catherine Delahunty's noted, it's with notable sadness that we will be voting against this bill. This bill, as Catherine Delahunty mentioned, was that she had a bill in the ballot that was responding to years of campaigning by disability communities asking for a disability commission. And Catherine, working with them, liaising with them, realising the political environment, realised that it might be possible through a member's bill to get a disability commissioner, if not a commission. And after her bill was pulled from the ballot and was about to come into the House, the government came to her and said, look, we're onto it, we'll do it. And they set up an effective disability commissioner. And that's what this legislation, that is the origins of this legislation. And yet we are unable to support it because that's not what it does. It doesn't mention a disability commissioner. Despite her agreeing to take her bill off the table, this legislation actually removes the possibility of that title and of the disability community to be able to be assured that there was somebody in there who they could see themselves and their experience reflected in, who they could know, understood their lived experience, who they could connect and make complaints and advance their rights through. So, and we've seen the government, even worse to me, use that opportunity as an opportunity to undermine our fundamental human rights framework, to remove the EEO Commissioner as a specific delegation, to remove the Race Relations Commissioner as a specific delegation, and to remove the Disability Commissioner as we had negotiated, we thought, or Catherine had. So it is very disturbing, and the evidence from the community, we've heard from the previous member about how this provides more flexibility because the human rights context has become far more complex. How? How have human rights become more complex? Experience of intersectionality and people's cross-connected experiences of discrimination has always existed. Our environment has not changed in that sense, but the need for community to see themselves and their experience reflected within the Commission remains the same. And this legislation removes that. It potentially reduces the number of commissioners down to four full-time positions, where now we have 3 full-time ones and 4 part-time. So that is a cut on top of what I've heard has been very significant cuts in staffing, while this commission, supposedly independent commission, has been seeking to meet this government's targets of cost saving in an environment where human rights are under threat. And I would like to specifically mention the submission that was provided to this bill from the CEDAW Coalition of New Zealand NGOs. And that's a coalition of all of the significant women's organisations in this country, the organisations who are working with women, who have the concern of women's human rights at the heart of their work. They said that the loss of the positions as statutory delegations and the minimisation of the EEO Commissioner functions has no evident public support and will attract international human rights body condemnation and concern. And if you're thinking maybe they don't really know the details of this and the intricacies of the Human Rights Commission, then I would let you know that the primary presenter of that submission was the previous EEO Commissioner herself, Professor Judy McGregor. She knows what is needed, she knows the environment, and she is deeply concerned. And this is specifically in an environment they had particular concern around equal employment opportunities and gender pay gap, because New Zealand has dropped in terms of our performance internationally on measures around women's status. The Global Gender Gap Report, which is done by quite a conservative organisation, the World Economic Forum, New Zealand has dropped 2 places from 5th to 7th from 2012 to 13. And this year, further back to 13th. We've removed the Equal Employment Opportunities Commissioner in this legislation, the designation, closed the Pay and Employment Equity Unit within the Department of Labour, abandoned 2 equal pay investigations, and the list goes on. We need to be sure we can protect our human rights.
Thank you. David Shearer.
I'd like to take a quick call.